All right. Wow. My little tool of the freaking got up some butt bone rocks. All right, everybody. Welcome to Matters of Fact, episode 3. It is a little windy, but I have the microphone inside this jacket, hopefully to negate that. I'm sitting on top of a mountain. This is definitely going to be the most beautiful podcast that I've ever done. I'm in Las Vegas, so this is Lone Mountain. The strip is over there. I can see everything from here, honestly. It's called Lone Mountain because it's a mountain in the middle of fucking everything. Anyways, episode for today. I wanted to talk about how nobody knows what they're doing. Ever. Anywhere. A lot of people, and this comes from personal experience, I feel get a little bit lost when it comes to not only careers, but education. You know, they get to school and they're exploratory and I'm not sure what I want to major in because I'm not sure what I want to do with my life. And making a decision when you're 18 years old on what you want to do with your life so that you can actually get a degree that pertains to that is extremely difficult. And I just think ass backwards. I don't think anybody ever knows truly what it is that they want to do. I think most people never know. Some people, I think, figure it out, and some people are, they have these passions that are just innate. And I feel like you see that a lot with artists who they're just born with that inclination to do some sort of thing. And I think everybody has that, but art's just very expressive. So I feel, in that regard, they kind of find their way into it just in that it's very much, it's a very emotional thing. And for somebody who might be, really good at being a data analyst, and that might be what they love doing and are good at doing, and it's just not so much expressive, right? I don't know how you really express being a data analyst. So anyways, to me, that would be like the distinguishing factor between somebody who's in something that's, art versus something that might be a little bit more granular, a little more above the shoulder shit. So the biggest thing, though, is that people, I think, take terrible advice from other people who have no idea what the fuck they're doing. And I'm one of those people, too. I would say, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just figuring things out. I feel like I've exhausted my resources to an extent of following other people's paths. So the term being a trailblazer, kind of carving your own path and finding your own path in life. I think the structure that one should follow is that of a path that's already been taken by somebody who you admire and want to be like. If you don't want to be like a person, then you shouldn't follow their footsteps. But I think you also have to understand that you're a different individual. And there's so many different components to life that a career is just one piece. But that's the biggest piece, I think, for the majority of your young life. Because, I think the majority of your entire life. I mean, most people work to retire if they even get the opportunity to retire. So their career is their life, which is why people say it's important to, stop and look around every once in a while because life moves pretty fast. Ferris Bueller, thank you for that beautiful quote. But if career is your focus, which it is for most people, because you have to make money, because you have to survive, and you feel like you see somebody in a career that you want to do, you just have to understand that that's one piece of somebody's life. So you're not seeing everything about that person. They might have a terrible home life because of their career. They might not be able to put as much time into their health and wellness because of their career. Those are really important factors who for some people that might dictate whether or not they want to actually do that. So everybody looks at, not everybody, okay, too broad strokes here. A lot of people look at being some sort of broker in finance or working on Wall Street or, being a CEO or president or CFO and all those C-suite level employees at a company. And a lot of people are like, I want to do that. I want to climb the corporate ladder. And that seems to be something that traditionally speaking is sought after and applauded. And all of those higher level lawyers and doctors. And obviously we need those people in society. They're phenomenal in what they do. They're integral. But you have to understand a lot of those things come at a cost. And it might come at a cost of something that it's not worth it to you. Some people, a lot of people who want to be let's say high up in a firm, at a law firm, or again, you're CEO of a company, a lot of those people struggle to have a good balance with family life because they have to work, they have to burn the candle at both ends. They're in the office until, the wee hours of the morning. It's really windy right now. And then, they get home and they got to go right back into the office. And that's common. So you have to ask yourself, am I going to prioritize family over work or career? What am I going to prioritize? And then you also have to take into account health, sleep, exercise, diet. Those things are super important as well. And then leisure, right? Like, am I somebody who does have that or needs a creative outlet? Do I like to, play music? Do I like to participate in recreational sports? You gotta look at your career and go, is it gonna let me do that? But then on top of that, you also have to understand that if you take a snapshot, if you're in your early 20s and you're working hard to build a career in something, the goal is that you put in all that work in the beginning so that when you get to be in your 30s and 40s, you have the ability to now focus on those other aspects of life. But it's important that you love the career if that's what you're going to sacrifice a lot of your time for when you're in your early 20s. So back to the being a trailblazer, I've been thinking about this lately a lot. If you're following in somebody's footsteps because you like who they are and what they do as a career, one, keep in mind, that's just one piece, right? In my opinion, it's one piece of the 5-piece pie, which is you have your career, leisure, and then sleep, food, and exercise. Those are the 5 requisite routines. And then relationships, I think, fall under leisure and career, because you need relationships that will be relationships for your career that won't have anything to do with your life outside of your career. So I think relationships are a subcategory, a subcomponent of the different areas in your life, but nonetheless very important. It's just easier to categorize that way. So if you're following in somebody's footsteps, you just have to make sure you understand. You have to know how to ask the right questions when you're in your early 20s trying to figure out where you want to go. Because if you get the chance to sit down and talk to somebody who is in a position that you think you might be interested in, you just have to make sure you ask about the other components of life. You have to say, okay, tell me about your job. Tell me about how you got here. What did you do to get here? Who did you know? Where did you start? All of those questions that pertain to career. But then you also have to make sure you're saying, how is, do you prioritize your exercise? Do you prioritize your sleep? Like, how do those things work into your life? And people are going to be thrown off by those questions. They were thrown off when I asked people those questions, but it was important to me to know, because I just want to know what I'm getting into. And then second, depending on the answer to those questions, let's say somebody says, oh, well, yeah, you're not going to have much time for leisure in this career. First off, take that as a red flag, in my opinion, personally, if you care about leisure time, which to me, leisure time is just time for the acquisition of knowledge. Then you have to make sure you go, okay, cool, what does that mean to me? That means either A, they haven't figured out how to incorporate leisure into that career, or balance leisure in that career, or it just truly is not a priority to them. And those are 2 very important distinctions to make, because you might admire where somebody is in their career, but like I said, well, that's one piece. That's one of 5. That doesn't mean it can't be done, right? That's where you have to start blazing your own trail. So I think a good question is, if I'm 18, 19, 20 years old, you should absolutely look to people who are much farther along their journey than you are, in a place that you think you might want to be, and follow in their footsteps. They've already blazed that trail. It's easy. Ask questions, figure out where to go, who to call, who to email, all this stuff, what to do, what degree to get. But then you also have to understand that at a certain point in time, they will have given you everything they can give you, and they're not you. So your priorities are not going to be the same across the board. So use them, and I shouldn't say use them, leverage them to get yourself farther along in whatever aspect. It might be health and fitness. You might look at somebody and say, I don't give a shit about your career or what you do there, but I really admire the time and dedication that you put into your diet and exercise. So I want to learn from you about that, right? And then you're doing your own career thing. You have to look at individuals who in that specific aspect of life are where you want to be, and then take that path as far as you can until you start to see that there's dissonance between what you prioritize in your routines and what they prioritize in their routines. That's, to me, the ticket to leveraging other people's experience, but also relying on yourself to garner and gain your own experience that suits you and who you are and who you want to be. So yeah, that's it. All right, everybody. I'm about to walk back down this mountain. My coffee's literally cold because it's so cold up here. Good chat. Matters of Fact, episode 3. Love it so far. So far, so good. And I'm keeping it simple so I can do it like this. Number 3's on a mountain. Sick. Who knows what this podcast will entail? Check back in with you all next one. Peace.